Okay, so I wanted to give you my interpretation of the Creb statistics for the month of September regarding our Calgary real estate market. And on this particular video, I'm going to be doing the single family detached home. So the person doing the report for Creb put their opinion in here that the market was shifting to more affordable options. So I'm going to discuss where I think that is, where the market's going. Okay, so this was very compelling for me to see. Look at September 21, September in last year. We had a total sales of 2157 in September of this year, 1901. So you might think by looking at that means that, oh, sales are down because the market is down. But look at this. New listings taken were 2,900 approximate new listings, and 2,600 were taken this year in the same month. So that's 300 less. And look at the inventory that was on the market, 5,600 last year and 4,400 this year. So that's remarkable. So what this is telling me is when they say that, well, the weighted average of the sales seem to be going towards apartments, what that tells me is that we have a bit of an issue. So there's always been an oversupply since apartments for the last, geez, I can't even know. I can't even think of how long it's been that way. We've had more apartment sales in a very soft apartment market. But when it comes to detached homes, there really isn't the supply there. And that's what I'm finding with my buyers is there's really nothing to buy. And so if you walked into a store and you found no groceries on the shelf, you might say, well, I'm walking out of here because there's nothing to buy, right? And so the grocery store would say, well, sales are down, the economy's down. Well, if there's nothing on the shelves, then that's why the price for detached homes is staying up. Now that was the total MLS, and when we talked about, did a earlier video about 10 days ago about average sale price and how average sale price is not a measure of how the market's really doing. It just tells you what people are buying, what price ranges they're buying. So look at that former video if you want to know regarding how that is a misleading number. I put that into a former video. Now this is detached sales. So when we look at September of last year, so a comparison, we say, well, September was much better last year than it is this year. But then look again at our inventory. So we have like 500 less properties available for people to buy. So the selection really isn't there. And so you'd say again, is there enough property for people? And I think that's really one of the issues. And that's why with single family detached homes, it's apparent to me, at least in my experience shopping for buyers, that I just don't have the amount of properties. Like, for example, if I was to take you out shopping in 3-4 years ago, I could show you 10 properties in an outing, and then I might go back and look at the top three, in 3 or 4 days and then make a decision. It's still not like that. We're still running into a problem where there seems to be not enough inventory on the market. Now this is benchmark price. Now let's talk about this, what this means. So this is kind of a reason why some of these graphs I find they don't help me to understand the market at all, because really we're talking about average sale price, and when I think about things, I'm thinking about weighted averages. And so what inventory is there and what creates that average sale price. And so we may have more condos sold in a particular part of the market one month to the next, and so that would change the benchmark price. But I don't know if that's significant. It still doesn't tell you what those homes were worth or where they went up or down in price. So this was an interesting chart. It shows that the price, price range people are buying in. So the red line is actually is basically 2022, and it shows that the buyers are buying between 500 and 599, whereas last year the largest proponent of buyers were between 400 and 499, and that holds true. Is that there's more buyers last year in that lower price ranges, because most of these houses that were in that 400 499, they all bumped up into this range. So our market is still much higher than it was. So I found this to be very compelling. And when I looked at 2021, this is the weighted average of different properties. So detached, apartments, semi-detached, row houses. Okay, so I found that this was significant to me. So look at the apartment as the weighted average. Now, apartments we know sell for less money. So this tells us right here that our weighted average is actually quite a bit higher, meaning that it's true that most people bought apartment condos, but that would actually make the average sale price over in the market drop a little bit. If we start seeing people go into apartments, that doesn't mean that the price of everything has gone down. Again, average sale price only tells you what people are buying. So as a weighted average, the biggest part of the market was buying apartment condos, and of course, single family detached was actually less than it was in 2021. And then when I go over and look at new listings, look, again, it shows me the same thing I said very early on. Look, there's less listings taken in September of 22 than there was in 2021. And of course, there was more apartment condo listings taken. And probably, let's say there was probably about the same as there was the previous year. So we're going to have a little bit tighter amount of new properties available for apartment condos. And semi-detached look about the same, when you look across that way, and row houses look about the same. But single-family detached looks a lot different. It looks like, that's where the buyers are going for single-family detached, and the new listings are down, and of course the amount of sales are down because the inventory is just not there. And this is really, this is really tells the story here as well. So this is blended. It's not single family detached. It's the whole part of the market, and so it says right here. It shows us that the inventory is going down, and of course that's the inventory, the blue line, and the sales are going down with that. Well, it makes sense to me. I mean, like I said in the previous slide, where if there's not as much for buyers to buy, they won't be inclined to buy things that they can't get. Okay, so when we look at the Northwest, we look at the amount of inventory that was sold at less than last year. Again, probably just due to inventory. And apartment was actually more than the previous year. And Northwest total sales by price range looks like the price range on the high end is quite up, like between 699 to 700 was some pretty high ranges. And of course, we're not matching the amount of sales that were in 2021 in the 599 to 600,000 range. And so looks to me like, the higher end group. And I always tell people, if you're looking in the Northwest, that, average sale prices are just higher in the Northwest. It seems like we've, run out of land to go west, right? Like when we talk about going to Royal Oak in those areas, and we've run into small acreages, right? So that's the issue, and of course they can't really develop a lot on the west side. They can only really go north. Okay, so when we talk about west, we're talking about the Springbank, that area. Looks like their housing is sitting here again, is down from last year. The amount of houses that sold and apartments is up again, and semi-detached is probably pretty equal to last year, and row houses seem to be increasing in sales. Of course, we're moving the market down a little bit on the average sale price because people are buying less expensive homes. Now, when we talk about the west by price range, wow, we got that $1 million. Those $1 million homes are really 700 to 999, way up, right, over last year. And of course, 699 to 7, because everything did move up there. And of course, that area is really hit hard by the fact that you can't build a lot of the communities west. I tell my buyers that if you want a property that is like a 2,000 square foot two-story, in the West, it's a good investment because they're not making any more land out there. There's no possibility for them to build them ever as cheap as that again. Now they're cutting up small acreages to build homes, and of course they have to get, if they're going to sell for a lot for 550, 600,000, they can't keep the price down below a million even anymore for what they want to do. So good investment for buyers out there always, and it's going to be, it is now, and it's always going to be. Same trend in the southeast, more apartments selling than last year and more row houses selling than last year, and semi-detached about the same, and less home sales because less on the market. And when it comes to the price range, most in the southeast are going to be let's say most of the sales are happening right around, it's funny, 600 to 699 in that range. Looks like, wow, we've got 599 to 600. That's the highest group. Um, so yeah, 500 to 599. That's this group here, and then 600 to 699 is our group here, and then yeah, 500. So that 500 to 599, that's where all those properties have moved, right? All of those homes that were previously priced at, like, 475, they're all in the fives now. They're in the 550 range. So everything's staying up there. I don't see how, if we don't get more inventory, like from somewhere, and that usually is coming from new builds, which we don't seem to have the supply of. Then what happens is that the whole market is this, the supply is still not as much for the demand, and that's causing the pressure on the price. That's why you're not seeing, well, if interest rates are causing people to qualify for less. I mean, it's driving people that were maybe thinking that they were going to be getting a detached home and getting to a row home, because that's, of course, a little bit up, and then of course apartments too. So people are buying, and it's smart to buy instead of rent. The thing is that with the interest rates going up, the landlords, they have to pass on those mortgage rates on to their renters, and so they're not going to do it for free, right? They're going to have to raise the rents, and they never rent you a property for less money than it costs them. So if you're renting, it's still going to cost you more money than it would to own. Here's the East. And the East is, like we're talking, you know, we often call it Southeast, but it's really like, Ogden areas, and areas like Forest Lawn, those areas. That's what we're talking East here. This is single family detached homes is actually up. It looks like in this area, people are moving in because that's the only place they can find a home at a reasonable price. And they're buying, they're saying, hey, I want to own a detached home. I don't even care. They're going to buy in here, and they're going to buy for looks like they're going to pay from 399 to 400, and that's pretty much the only place left that you can buy in the city, is those areas right there. So that, the apartment sales were up in that area, and look at how much increase there was in there. It tells you where people qualify, so that's what they're buying. Okay, so again, I like to go through a particular property class. I'm going to do two in this video, and finished basements with the typical single family home. The most popular uh, home to sell in Calgary is just located in all kinds of areas. And what we want is finished basements, homes that are 1,700 to 2,000 square feet, built from 1990 to 2021. The reason is because we don't want to get the new stuff in there, because it changes the averages radically, and it could also alter our numbers. And what I want to do is find out, these pre-owned homes, what they're selling for, and how that's changing month to month. And if you pick a particular property class and you keep the numbers, the similarities fairly close, you should end up with a little bit, closer relevant information to what's actually happening with this particular type of home and property class. Okay, so when we look at the averages from April, May, June, which was a hotter part of the year, the average sale price was 627. They on average were 1847, 1850 square feet. We're using in this example, just like I said, finished basements, because it's the most popular version. Less of them have unfinished basements as a rule. Okay, and so July we had 633, so a little bit went up a little bit for July sales for the average sale price for the style of home, and then we were at 626. So I'm going to say that's not a change from August. And then if we look at September, now we look at the number of units sold, so less units sold, but again, we see that inventory is dropping, right? So maybe less sales because there's not as much inventory. And also, the sales price looks like the average sale price dropped, and it dropped significantly here for September. Days on market went up to 37. So it could be that the price is dropping and the inventory is dropping. It's hard to say. We don't have the inventory. Maybe what's left on the inventory might be maybe not as good of inventory as far as what's left over. I'll tell you what I'm seeing is that I'm certainly not seeing the price going down. I'm seeing that we're having a hard time finding the better homes. So there's still competing offers on the really nice gems out there. And then, maybe what's left over, some of this drop in price could even be locations. Like I just was out showing this particular style of home out in the south and found that we had many properties just sitting on busy back roadways and maybe lesser conditions. So overall, I mean, the market I feel is not really an indicator of that it's really dropping, but the numbers show that it is. And then we look at where what we can compare to as far as the inventory is concerned. And then when we look at the inventory and we see that in September we had sold 35, of course, at 595. Look at the current inventory that's on the market. It's all 631. It's still priced the same. It seems like a big disparity between the price ranges here, isn't there? It's almost like we've got the sellers aren't changing their pricing, but the average sale price has gone down. Maybe the one property here. Look at our minimum price is 538. Maybe that lower price inventory is just not there anymore. That lower um, level of inventory. Of course, we're talking about 35 active. We got a month's supply of that type of inventory. Now I'm going to move to this particular style of home, which is the smaller single family home with a detached garage style. And we're talking about again homes that are um, not not unfinished basements. And we want to find. I found that you had more properties that had the detached garage and the finished basement. So I found that that's a bigger statistic. So we'll use that. The square footage is 1,100 to 1,500 because that's often what they are. That's the range. And then again, we're going 1990 to 2021 as far as our and only these small two stories is what we're looking at. Okay, and so average sale price was 484 for April, May, June. So that's a longer period, 162 units sold. And when we look at July, 481, there's not a change there. 449 for August. Again, I would say that's a pretty big change actually. It could be as a result of this lower end unit selling at 349, which could have dropped ours down. The median price in this group is 472. So that's the drop, right? We could say that the median, the vast percentage of those properties, which was 24, so there's a reduced numbers of sales. And we've got that median group 472, which is not a lot. That's 10,000. So there is a drop there. And then look at last month. So last month is 496, 490. So it's actually up. And that would be maybe this August sale that was 349. Maybe that's a foreclosure or something, throws it into the mix and throws the numbers off a little bit. But look at the number of sales, 13, a lot less. And maybe inventory will tell us a little bit of the story there. So when we look at inventory, we got 13 sales in September at 496 as an average and 38 days on market. And we got 38 days on market and we got 20 available. So there's not a lot. And when I talk about that style of home, I'm talking about all over throughout the whole city. That's not a lot of that kind of home to buy. And so 507 is our average asking price. So, and median is 511. It seems to me that, you know, and this is what I'm witnessing. When I'm looking for homes for buyers, I'm thinking, wow, these things have really gone up. Like they continue to raise the asking prices, and there seems to be less and less homes as we go along. So for the real estate board to say that that people are moving that the average sale price is going down, I agree with that. I agree with that because more apartment sales. But when I'm my actual real experience when I'm looking for homes for buyers is, wow, where am I going to get homes for people? That's the problem, especially when it comes to detached. And when I look at the no garage version, if you've got, if you're really wanted to try to drop your price, so really it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we got 483 as a price, as an average asking price for a home without a garage with a finished basement. And what does that tell you? So as a rule, I mean, it costs about 17,000 for a double garage. Maybe you might be better off to get one of these houses in contract and get a mortgage approval for a mortgage with improvements, and get if the house is shiny and nice and it's doesn't have the garage, don't overlook it, because you might be better off to do that and have a brand new garage built for you. Um, Certainly, consult my video about mortgage with improvements. I've had a really good interview last week with a mortgage broker who explains what that's all about. So some homes are priced really well, and of course they sell really quick. I mean, when we're looking at days on market, the majority of the properties are not on the market for a long period of time. We've got some people, trying to play the lottery, and they're trying to see if they can win based on the market as it is. But that's not the majority. And of course, for you, the buyer or the seller, it's really hard to figure out based on looking at active listings what's really going on. And some of them are properly priced, and some of them are not. And you're not going to know that from the active listings. You're going to be looking at pictures and thinking that you know everything from the pictures. And of course, as we know with pictures, you get to the house and it's not even similar to what they're advertising. Once you look closely, the corners are tattered and worn. Now, if this property class doesn't fit with what you're looking for, or you want another evaluation, if you want it on your personal home, shoot me a message. If you want to have just another report run on apartments, condos, townhomes, all different property classes, look on my channel or shoot me a message to create one. If you've got a specific question regarding which way the backyards face, there's lots of questions regarding real estate. I'd certainly be happy to help you out, finding out what the ultimate value, even on a single property that you're thinking about purchasing. So with that said, good luck and happy searching.